Overall thoughts on the whole thing. What are we thinking? The whole card?
Oh, card was good.
The two people you have to give, you got to show a lot of love to, is Brian Ortega for just the willingness to go on even when his face was getting pounded in.
He absolutely would have gone another round.
Oh, if they didn't stop that, the doctor didn't stop that, he would have gone another round. But that's like a pit bull style mentality. He just was willing to continue.
He's not a quitter.
No, and he never has been. And that's one of the things I love about watching him fight, as he goes to the end. Got to give love to Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah.
Because you're fighting someone who, first off, she moved up 10 pounds, where Valentina Shevchenko dropped weight to come down. It's a weird thing, weight cut versus weight gain. You're looking at someone who's keeping their power by going down, and someone that's trying to gain some sort of power going up. I wish we could have seen Joanna fight once in 125 before so you at least get them. No, and you look at
It was like
Conor versus Nate Diaz. Conor went from 145 to 170.
That was like Ronda jumping in for the other championship fight.
Yeah, but
Connor's never gone.
that fight shouldn't have happened from 145 to 170. But then you watched him get his legs under himself when he trained at 170. He won the next fight. I think if we had seen Joanna fight at 125 at least once before, this fight would have been totally different. But you got to look at the whole situation with the women's flyweight belt. They stripped her the belt, said Valentina they're going to find someone for her, and then Joanna was the first one to step up. I think that's noble. That's noble.
I think she should have stuck up for that.
And that's really the easiest way to gauge yourself in that sort of weight class. I can't think of anyone that has moved up in their first bout, unless your name's Daniel Cormier,
The Hammer.
to do well in a bigger weight class. The Hammer.
The man hammered him too.
Oh my God, yeah. And then Thiago Santos with that huge finish on Jimmy Manoa. Caught him with the uppercut and then the left hook and just dropped him. Overall, definitely there's no fight of the night. Well, there's a fight of the night, but there's no fight of the year. And I think there's not anyone in this room that would disagree with me that fight of the year has to go to Yair Rodriguez versus Korean Zombie.
Oh, yeah.
When you have those two brawling until the final second, Yair throws probably the craziest elbow I've ever seen in my entire life.
If you don't say that was the fight of the year, you got a problem.
Yeah, if you don't think that's fight of the year, then you obviously don't watch MMA.
It was the best fight I've ever seen.
And
that was good.
And all three of us both watched the first ever Ultimate Fighter finale, which we thought was the best. But there's no way that fight doesn't take fight of the year. I think if there's a performance of the night, it has to go to Max Holloway. I don't think if you're going to give a bonus, it has to be to Holloway.
I'll give it to him.
He beat the shit out of Ortega in that last round.
No stoppage.
No.
You can't have that.
It was just the boy would have got back up and fought. He would have, but
no.
You've got to look at health-wise. It had to happen.
There was too much of a blood pocket under his eye. Because now you're talking about his eyesight.
That's the only reason why
you have to, because that white part right here. Now you're talking about pus.
Oh yeah.
Right.
No. I understand that.
That's losing eyesight. You can't do that.
And I gave him the third round too. Like you got to look at that was a back and forth fight.
That was a real back and forth fight, and the biggest thing with Ortega was his dropping his hands.
Right.
He was not. He kept on fucking keeping them low. No chin tuck. There was That was his problem.
Oh, that was after he was really starting to get tagged.
Mm-hmm.
That he was dropping his hands big time. And when you have someone that's going to throw as many punches and have that sort of offensive output as Max Holloway, you have to, first off, you have to know that's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Second, if you're not going to be prepared for something like that, you're going to see what we just saw in that fourth round where his face was just obliterated.
Max Holloway, he's got fast hands.
He does, and
He's
that's why he's won 13 straight, and that's why, honestly, I think he's going to be a better champion than Jose Aldo ever was. And Jose Aldo beat a lot of people.
Yeah.
Jose was,
but my boy kicked both their asses.
and dude, Conor, yeah. And if you really look back, Max Holloway's last loss was August 27th, 2013 to Conor McGregor. Like that's a long win streak.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
And Conor hasn't fought in he hasn't fought in 145 in 3 years. 3 years, something like that.
He doesn't look good at that weight.
No, he never did. And when he moved up to 155, I knew that was the perfect weight for him.
That's where he belongs.
Yeah, because even the fight against Eddie Alvarez, you knew when you looked at him in the weigh-ins, he was.
Because you gotta realize Connor's no bigger than me.
No, he's what 5'8", 5'9", like a little dude.
He's 5'7". I'm 6'6", so he's about an inch taller than me.
He's just built.
And he's just a brick shit house.
Now, the question I want to ask
Who likes whiskey?
Of course. And I'm still waiting to get my hands on that
Proper 12.
That Proper 12, hopefully soon, in the next couple of weeks. The question I want to ask you guys...
That's what he said today. Going down to get a package store and shit like that, and it's like...
Yeah, what did they say?
Proper 12's not here yet.
He said, yeah. No, he mentioned, he goes, no, I guess they were putting shipments out. And I was like, yeah, I follow him and the company on Instagram, and they were saying that they're going to put shipments out now. So hopefully in the next week or two, we should be able to get our hands on it.
Again, we've been hearing this for like
a couple months.
Yeah.
Although you got to look at the output and supply and demand of that sort of.
He's going to have to.
They're selling more than they're making.
Well, no, he has to slow down because there's going to be a point to where it's the aging process. You can't produce that much.
I wonder if he prepared for that.
I'm pretty sure they did.
I'm sure you have to. You have to.
Because aged whiskey is usually anywhere from 2 to 3 years. So he's had to be planning for this after like almost his first fucking UFC debut.
Well, when you know you're as big as you are, obviously you plan the stuff like this. So even though he lost in that fight, and I want to cover that in a second. But even though he lost, everyone knows the name. There's not a person I talk to that knows about fighting that doesn't know the name Conor McGregor.
No.
Like even if you know just a tiny bit, you know the name Conor McGregor, and he's a household name. He's the Mike Tyson of our generation. And when it comes to trash talk and the mental warfare, this is such a bold thing to say, I think it was better than Ali. And it's hard to dispute.
No, I'll give it that.
It's very hard to dispute.
It is very hard to dispute, but...
You got to look at, all right, well, he's here. Everyone else is here. People try to get close. Conor's got that mental warfare, man. And I do want to cover the fight with Khabib. Not with, and I want to get rid of all of the aftermath and look at the pure fight.
Listen, I have no respect for him.
No, thank you. I want to look at
none.
That fight was.
Granted, I think he was gonna beat him anyways.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
But I can't have respect for him now for what he did.
As someone who wrestled, and you wrestled as well, and you did as well. You know, we all have some sort of mixed martial arts background. As someone who's followed the sport my whole life, or as long as I can remember.
I wrestle, I did jiu-jitsu.
Oh, jiu-jitsu, right, yeah. But as someone who's followed the sport as long as I can remember, and you guys can both agree with me on this one, that sort of style of like after the fight, just barbarianism that has no place in this sport. That was a very dark day for the sport. That has no place in MMA anywhere, whether it's ONE FC, Bellator, or the UFC. Nowhere is that acceptable. As a human being, as a competitor, that shouldn't have happened.
I mean, you're going to see in every fight, there's always shit talk.
Oh, of course,
Everybody
but that's part of the
shit
game.
talks. And that's Conor McGregor's main thing. He wants to get in your fucking head, and he does it.
Yeah.
He does it well. I mean, if you sit there and you take it personally, that was Khabib's problem. He took it personal. And then, you're going after Conor's camp and doing what you did, and then the only reason Conor...
He's getting in trouble because
he got hit in the face.
Two of Khabib's camp jumped him. Now, I think that was planned. I 100% think that was planned.
Really?
Oh, of course. You randomly
talk a lot of shit.
But two of Khabib's people randomly come out of nowhere, climb the cage to attack Conor. Now, say what you will about Conor and what he did in Brooklyn. Do I endorse any of that? Absolutely not. What Conor did was irresponsible, and he knew it. And
he paid the price.
And he did.
Yeah, exactly.
But I 100% think that what Khabib Nurmagomedov and his crew did was planned.
I almost agree.
I can't think of any other way.
That shit that went on was too in sync. As soon as Khabib jumped the fence, then you see these two assholes jumping the fence.
Jumping the fence. Yep. And
that was over with. Let's do this over again.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to bring it up, but I have to put my 2 cents in. But UFC 232, we're looking at the rematch. John Jones and Alexander Gustafsson. Guys, I don't know about you, but I'm excited for this one.
I hope Gustafsson kicks his ass.
You got to look at.
He won the last one.
He did, and I gave Jones the 5th round, and that was it.
He got ripped.
He did, but.
Yeah.
And I said this before in the video. I think John Jones, and there's really no way to dispute this. If you move past the DC stuff, him in DC, put that aside, put aside all of his stuff out of the cage, overall, he is one of the best ever. And he's so young. You think he's only, I think he's only 30 years old. And to come into the sport the way he did and just dominate. His unorthodox striking, his long limbs, the way he uses his body, it's hard to dispute that he's one of the best ever.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say he's good.
I said one of.
He's close. He's up there, but I would
the youngest ever champion in the UFC.
I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys out there that are better than him.
And but you got to look at, since he's been away, the game's evolved. The game has evolved.
Jones, I don't know. He stays up fucking steroids.
The one I really want to get your opinion on, both of you.
What we got?
Is for the women's featherweight championship of the world, Chris Cyborg versus Amanda Nunes. Now, I'll put it to you this way. Amanda Nunes is probably the most next level mixed martial artist out there. When you watch her fight, she's a savage. She comes in. You can't not like her. It's impossible to not like her.
Yeah,
she's a beast. She is probably the most next gen mixed martial artist out there.
Yeah, but if her and Cyborg are going at each other.
Well, you've also that's the biggest factor. Chris Cyborg has a hard time making it to 145 pounds.
I'm not even a fan of Cyborg.
I lost a lot of respect for Cyborg when the whole steroid issue. The whole steroid thing was really where it killed me. When you're fighting, when she fought Gina Carano, it shouldn't have happened. Everyone knows that Gina wasn't ready for that fight.
No.
That fight shouldn't have happened. But when you get busted for steroids, and she was out of action for over a year, and
I don't think she should have been able to come back. Put it that way.
I think that's an unfair I think that's unfair because of how many people have been busted for steroids and are allowed to come back. I mean, we're talking about steroid use. Brock Lesnar got tested positive twice.
The man's useless. I can't stand him.
No, well, we're wrestling fans, so we have a whole separate bias for him against him. But he tested positive twice before UFC 200. Was still allowed to compete. He was still allowed to compete in that, and he handedly destroyed Mark Hunt. Yeah. Suspended for a year. We're talking about suspensions. Daniel Cormier is going to fight Brock Lesnar in February for the UFC Heavyweight Championship.
Cormier is going to kick his ass.
Cormier is going to kick his ass. And you know why? Because Cormier is undefeated.
He can't stand the other guy.
Daniel Cormier threw Josh Barnett across the cage.
The only thing that fucking Lesnar has on him is if he comes straight out...
His wrestling.
If he comes straight out of the gun, fucking Supermans him, and just starts beating the shit out of him like his first match...
I don't think it's going to be that way, though.
I don't think it's
because Daniel Cormier is a Division I All-American wrestler.
He knows enough to stay away from him.
He's undefeated at heavyweight. Daniel Cormier has hands of stone. He will destroy. And he knocked out Stipe Miocic when I didn't think anybody could knock out Stipe.
You ever been knocked out?
No.
Want to try?
No. Have ever been knocked out? No. I got a chin.
Do you?
Yeah.
How do you know?
Because I've been punched.
If I can hit you like that, you'd be knocked out.
We went over this like 2 weeks ago. I have been punched in the face.
But we haven't published that one yet.
You're making my camera
We haven't even finished that yet.
All right. As much as I love the UFC, the real breadwinner in all of this in MMA, and we're true MMA fans, is... Do you guys realize the significance of next weekend and what Bellator is bringing to the table?
Do you understand what's going on with Bellator?
Do you get
fighting?
All right, so Friday night.
No, I'm asking you, dude.
December 14th. First off, let's just throw it out that Bellator beat the UFC to Hawaii. Friday, December 14th, we have a rematch for the Bellator Lightweight Championship. Brent Primus versus Michael Chandler. Now, Michael Chandler only lost that fight because he twisted his ankle. And his ankle was giving out. I think Brent Primus needs to shut his mouth with the amount that he's been talking. He hasn't defended his belt yet. And this fight was supposed to happen like 2 months ago. And he got hurt.
He basically talks a lot.
So you got to look at your card. You got to look at Frank Mears fighting Javi Ayala. Derek Campos is fighting Sam Cecilia, and AJ McKee is fighting Daniel Crawford. AJ McKee might be one of the best featherweights in the world.
AJ,
it's hard to deny he's undefeated.
Yeah, he's not going to lose.
And we've been there for we've seen him fight twice live because we live in Connecticut, and Bellator, their athletic commission is run by Mohegan Sun, which is 5 minutes from our house. So we're there all the time. We're actually going to be there in a few months in February for the MVP versus Paul Daly fight. We're gonna do because there's 2 fights that weekend, and I'm gonna try to. You better be there.
I don't know about you, but I'm gonna be there. You gonna be there?
I better be fucking there.
Okay.
Well, it's Friday and Saturday. There's 2 fights that night or that weekend, so we're gonna do both fights, but. Bellator is bringing the heat. Now, Daniel Crawford is 10-2. He's got great stand-up. He's a very well-rounded fighter. But how do you think he pairs up against AJ McKee?
AJ's got it all.
He's
got everything, dude. He
really does.
Fighter, dude.
He really does. But what's dangerous is his striking. That's what's really dangerous. Is AJ McKee?
All-around fighter, dude. That kid can fight.
AJ McKee is probably the next generation of fighting, of mixed martial artists. He's like 21, 22 years old, undefeated at 12-0. You know, he's special. And in the fight that all Bellator fans want to see is him fight James Gallagher.
I don't even think Gallagher can beat him.
Backstory on James Gallagher.
I don't.
James
I like
Gallagher.
Don't get me wrong. I like him. But I don't think he can beat him.
Gallagher's from Ireland. He trains the SBG Ireland. Trains with Conor McGregor. The kid's the real deal. He won his first 8 fights? He's 8-1 now. Won his first 8 fights in the first round by rear naked choke. Unfortunately, lost his last fight to. I honestly can't remember the guy's name. I can't remember his name.
This guy, I'll beat him.
He did. He beat his face in. He caught him with a crazy right hand, and it was over. But you got Derek Campos fighting Sam Sicilia. Derek Campos is one of the best fighters that they have in the featherweights.
Oh, if he got caught by a right hand,
he won that night.
Yeah,
he won that. He did.
He won that night.
But the Derek Campos fight.
And I like him too. I like Gallagher. I really do.
Yeah. And it's hard not to like Gallagher because he's
Conor's chin.
Conor's got knocked out before.
Conor hasn't. Yeah, he hasn't showed him his chin yet.
He did.
He hasn't shown him how to use it, dude.
No,
because he would have
shown him how to use it. Nate Diaz showed that Conor's got a chin that is a little breakable sometimes.
Sometimes, but it's.
The Derek Campos Sam Sicilia fight I won't cover because Campos is probably going to win that one. The interesting fight on that card, if you put past, but Alejandro Lara and Juliana Velasquez,
there's notes going on right here.
I'm not as prepared as you guys think I am, especially when all of this is alive and we've all had a lot of alcohol tonight.
We didn't have too much. What do you have? This wee shit. You got a mouse in your pocket?
Yes,
well, there are 3 of us in the room on camera right now, and I wish I could show all the alcohol that's been drank.
I'm Irish. We're still good.
I'm Irish
I'm
too.
good.
I'm Irish too,
I'm
though.
not
You're a little bit more Italian than Irish.
Hey,
Indeed, but
whoa,
still.
back off, John. You are in the wrong place.
You guys are more like whiny bitches.
Whiny?
Wow!
Well,
So guess who's not coming to the Bellator fight with us?
Yeah, this is sitting out that night.
Wow.
You're gonna have to come up and take like $200 too for that whole weekend. That's like a $200 weekend.
That's a $200 weekend.
Oh damn.
We gotta start saving big for that. That's gonna be a big weekend.
That's when?
February 16th?
Oh, that's not that bad.
Hold on, we're live checking this. February 15th and 16th.
Oh, it's back to back?
Yes, Friday and Saturday. You got Matt Mitrione's fighting fucking Sergey Kiritanov, and then
my boy Matt.
Wrong phone. And then the next night's MVP versus Daly.
Oh, that's a tough fight.
Do you know what
That's the one I want to see.
Do you know what the co-main event is announced for? Chet Conco is in the co-main event of that. And then you know what the other fight? Roy Nelson versus Mirko Cro Cop. So, as much as I love Bellator, they're just signing big names. Mirko Cro Cop didn't show up in the UFC.
I don't know. UFC is just going downhill.
All right, so we're gonna go back to next Saturday night.
Excuse me.
Cut that out.
We're gonna slice that. Don't worry.
Just cut. No, so we're gonna go back to next Saturday, which is we're gonna move on from the Friday fight, which is Chandler versus Primus too. I think Michael Chandler just whips Brent Primus's ass.
But a wine girl right there.
We're going to the second fight, the second card. So you're looking at the main fights that are pretty big. Lyoto Machida, the Dragon. Lyoto Machida makes his Bellator debut against none other than Rafael Carvalho. Wow. And that's you're looking at, if you're going to throw someone into that middleweight division and you want Lyoto to fight someone, you're going to give him one of the best that the Bellator middleweights have to offer. Rafael Carvalho is a beast.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're throwing in Lyoto Machida, who's not exactly young, but Leota's got a lot left on the plate. Like, there's a lot left there.
Yeah.
He's got so much to prove still.
True.
And he can. We all watched that last fight when he fought Vitor. Just front kick. Done. I still have that shit saved on one of my Facebook Messenger conversations with one of my friends. I showed him live when that happened.
I'm going to bring it back down to Gracie.
Neiman Gracie versus Ed Ruth is on the card. Neiman Gracie, no,
There's no touching Gracie.
We've seen him fight live twice.
Have you ever seen him fight?
Yeah.
The guy has a ground game. He's nuts.
He's got Gracie Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that's really what you have to look at. Anyone with the name Gracie, you just have to look at, you're great standing up.
You're not touching
How
him.
good's your takedown defense? Because if you get put on the ground by this guy, it's over. It's over. We watched him toy with someone.
Dude. He's going to torture you.
The last time we saw Neiman Gracie live is we watched him just toy with the guy for 2 rounds. Third round, got him down, rear naked choke. It was over. But Neiman Gracie and Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, if you have the name Gracie attached to anything, and we've met Royce Gracie, like, if you have the name Gracie attached to anything, it's over. I
watched him fight.
It's over. It really is.
When he was fighting, I watched him fight. And that guy is incredible. There was no touching that way.
Probably one of the... No, there's no question. He is one of the best ever.
No touching him.
But
it was just nasty.
Light heavyweight, King Mo was dropping back down. King Mo was dropping back down, and he's fighting Liam.
Is that your boy?
He ain't my boy.
Come on, that's your boy.
King Mo's fighting Liam McGeary.
Now, McGeary, I kind of like McGeary better.
McGeary doesn't have much of a ground game, which we saw when he fought Phil Davis. Phil Davis, literally the entire press conference, the press tour, all through training camps, said he was going to take him down, and we were actually there. We were there for that fight. We were there for the title fight. He wrestled him and sat on top of him for 5 rounds, won the belt. But McGeary's lack of ground game is, I don't want to say King Mo's strong suit, because King Mo doesn't have a huge ground game. He's got the wrestling. He's got the aspect of the wrestling. But I think what we're going to be looking at is a stand-up game. I think it's going to be a stand-up fight.
Hopefully.
And hopefully McGeary wins.
I mean, I can't really pick one either way.
I'm not a King Mo fan, I'm sorry.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm not a King Mo fan at all.
I have no preference in between, but I think maybe King Mo's probably going to come out on top.
He might. King Mo, we're talking about, like, earlier. King Mo reminds me of, like, Rashad Evans. Back in the day.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree.
And then
a little bit.
Back in the day when Rashad Evans fought Bisping, and then Bisping knocked his ass out, I was like this. I was like, I was like, finally somebody shut him up.
Yeah, right.
But Rashad Evans was such a cocky asshole.
He was back then, and then when he fought Rampage,
you think about it, he still is. Yeah. They all are.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
They're all cocky. They gotta be cocky. You gotta be.
Oh yeah. Well, if you're in the fight game, you have to be. You can't be like, oh, this person's better than me. No, you have to mentally prepare for someone not being better than you.
You should just go in, do what you got to do, and if you win or lose, that's it. You can't be cocky, because when you're cocky, you let your guard down in some aspects.
Oh yeah. Now, I want to move past that fight because I can predict what's going to happen for the main event next Saturday for Bellator. You've got Alima McFarlane, undefeated. Alima McFarlane versus Valerie Letourneau for the women's flyweight title.
You can't touch it.
First of all, I'm just going to point out that Alima McFarlane is home in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. She's from Hawaii. They're fighting in her hometown. Valerie Letourneau, she's no slouch. She's not at all a slouch. Valerie Letourneau is a very, very talented fighter.
But you can't beat her.
But I've seen Alima McFarland fight live, and holy shit, she is the real deal. She's the real deal.
It's kind of like it's kind of like football. You can't lose in your hometown.
No,
she's not.
Hopefully you don't.
No, yeah.
Because if you do, you suck. Kind of like
Jaguars. Sorry about week 2.
Yeah, I know. We gave it to you.
We kicked the shit out of the Patriots.
It's okay. It's okay.
I do want to quickly touch because I won't cover it next weekend because of how big it is. But the UFC Fight Night, Keith Lee versus Al Iaquinta 2. Iaquinta. I can never pronounce his name.
Pronunciation.
Al Iaquinta.
Give him a kiss.
Got it. So it's the rematch of the first one. I did watch the first one. I think Iaquinta would have won that fight if it wasn't for a takedown that Keith Lee had, and Keith Lee got him, choked him out, and it was over. Since then, Al Iaquinta fought Khabib Nurmagomedov for the title in Brooklyn and had a lot of shining moments. They went 5 rounds.
Took him 5 rounds.
You got to give him a little bit of that, but Keith Lee is a fucking savage.
Who wants to fight Khabib?
Who wants to fight Khabib? Tony Ferguson.
Ferguson, that's right.
Yeah. But I'll briefly touch on this one. I think Iaquinta just wants it more. To prove that you're king shit right here when you fight Khabib and you take him to the limit. And he caught Khabib a lot. It wasn't like, just a pure dominant fight. It really wasn't. It was Khabib didn't know how to take Iaquinta's power. And he can punch hard. He really can.
And you needed to hit him a little harder.
Yeah, unfortunately, Khabib won, but...
Yeah, right.
Well, that's almost the same. That's almost the same thing that happened between him and Conor.
No.
No. If you remember the fight,
I remember the fight.
He was.
I was there.
I know. Yeah, I was there too.
Okay.
We were all here for that.
But fucking Conor was rocking him.
Connor's
game on the ground sucked.
Yeah,
and that's where Khabib won.
That's what he needs to improve. That's it. And on the ground, if he does his ground game and just keeps working on that shit, he'd be an all-around fighter.
I'm telling you, the best person to face.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I love Conor, but you need to get that both.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So the biggest question I have, I guess we might as well ask it now.
Bring it out.
Who do you think, assuming Khabib doesn't get banned, because he probably won't.
Who do you got up?
Who do you think who fights him next? Who do you think fights him next?
Well, who's out there?
Who's earned it?
Who's out there? Who do you got?
Yeah, really.
There's only 2 people I can think of, and only one that I think that'll win the fight.
Who's calling him out now?
Tony Ferguson called his ass out. He's been calling him out on Twitter. No, so I guess I could say there are 2 people,
Ferguson and
2 people can beat him.
Sorry.
I think Ferguson can easily beat him. Ferguson can beat him standing up or on the ground. And the only other person that can beat him, and you guys actually get annoyed that I talk about him all the time, would Ben Askren.
No.
Ben Askren.
No, he's good. He's a good fighter.
Ben Askren was part of the first ever trade in mixed martial arts. For those of you that don't know about this.
He actually hasn't fought yet.
Well, he hasn't fought in the UFC yet, which is what's interesting.
I have no idea what he's going to do.
I followed a lot of his career. He used to fight in Bellator. He's fought in ONE FC. It's part of the first ever trade in mixed martial arts. Demetrius Johnson went to ONE FC in Thailand in exchange for Ben Askren's contract. Demetrius Johnson, because he lost the fight to Cejudo. Now we watched that fight. I actually lost $5, which I gave you. I paid
sure you did.
And you goddamn right, I paid you. Man of my word. Who fights him next? Who fights him next? Is Ferguson the only
I don't know,
real choice right there?
It's gonna be all three of us.
He just came into the league, so why do you want to give him?
Not Ferguson, but Askren. But
yeah, why do you give him a first?
That's why I'm asking. Tony Ferguson has proved himself.
Yeah.
Tony Ferguson very much so proved himself.
Well, yeah, I would give it to him. I wouldn't give it to Askren.
What do you think? What do you think? Come on, give it to me.
I think you just got fucking...
Cat? Yeah, that's one of two cats.
Cat-tailed. Big time.
Hi, Garfield. I just... I don't know. Yeah, you just see tail. It's like a shark.
He's a dude. He likes to put a little tail up in there. Hey.
It's the constant ginger going on in this house.
There's only three of us.
Yeah, there's only three of us. And you guys are Irish, not me.
Three of us? Bitch, you're as gray as the walls in this house.
Oh, I'm not a ginger.
Which are gray.
I was talking about the cat. It's going to be Habib and Ferguson.
I don't see how you can go any other way.
No,
if Habib doesn't get banned for life from fighting in the U.S.
You can't give the other guy a fight because...
Dude,
I don't even know. I don't even know why they're not at an agreement.
It happens.
Right
it actually happens soon.
I don't even know if I can watch that fight. I don't like what Habib did.
I don't like what Habib did either, but I
can't watch it.
But to watch someone with a chance to beat him, and I think
stupid that he did.
I think Robbie Lawler is who they're gonna have fight Ben Askren. I think Ben Askren's gonna fight at 170. I don't think he's gonna fight at 155.
See, now this is where I think Bellator pulls in Habib.
Yeah.
No, they won't because he's still on a contract.
Well, if he gets kicked out,
Bellator
can.
You know what? It's possible. Like, and you and I were talking about yesterday, Conor going there. And I don't think Conor goes there for the pure reason of he's not going to make the money. He's not. He's not.
I don't think it's...
They won't pay... the Bellator doesn't have the kind of money that the UFC does.
They are fucking getting really close.
If they get Conor, they'll be making more money.
Mm-hmm.
If they get Conor McGregor and Conor takes a pay cut, huge pay cut, are you kidding me? Bellator would be here, everyone else would be here. There's no question that if Bellator can get them, or at least just get Conor out of the two.
True.
You're talking about a huge, not only rating spike, you're talking about an attendance spike. Because attendance-wise, if Conor's fighting, people will be there. Mm-hmm. You'll get a TV rating spike. No question.
I mean, I don't know about all you guys out there, but I prefer...
Is it out there or in there?
I prefer Bellator just because...
I'd rather have Bellator.
Yeah. It's more home for us because we're here in CT and we're 5 minutes away from...
We're literally 5 minutes away from Mohegan Sun. I'm there frequently. We'll actually be there in 3 weeks because we're season ticket holders for the lacrosse team that's in town.
It's so much better than UFC. There's too much political bullshit that goes on in UFC.
The biggest thing that helps Bellator is Scott Coker. Any of you, like, actual MMA fans know Scott Coker's the genius behind Strikeforce, who at one point was better than the UFC, which is why Zuffa bought them.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Coker behind Bellator is what's making Bellator what it is. The heavyweight Grand Prix, think about who is the main event to win the title is Fedor Emelianenko, who's one of the greatest fighters of all time, versus Ryan Bader, who, again, one of the best the UFC ever had to offer. He's currently the lightweight champion in Bellator, and he's going to be the first ever two-division champion in Bellator. That's huge.
Yeah, because he's fucked everything all out.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's the good 30, 45 seconds that can't go in this.
I was joking.
All right. So
the boy,
he knows the athletic commissioner, or the guy who runs the athletic commission in Mohegan.
Season one.
But we're gonna, we're just gonna end it here. I think on this really
sexy,
really awkward finish.
Wow. Just touching his head, dude. That turns me on.
On that note, we're gonna end it here. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. It's been a fun weekend. Let me know if you guys want to see this style of a video, or if you want to see me do what I used to do on my WWE reaction videos, which I do kind of want to bring back.
Best video ever.
Because my girl Becky Lynch is the fucking man.
Yeah.
But let me know, guys, if you guys want to follow me on Twitter. That'll be in the link below. Also, if you guys want to check out my Twitch channel, watch me stream games, that'll also be down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Wow. You're going to dog me like that?